For Mao, whose aim was to flush out the critics, the strategy identified all those who had spoken against the regime as class enemies.
You're wrong. What are your political opinions? Do you realize what you're saying? Are you a teacher of the people or not? Do you take the point of view of a teacher of the people?
Mao ordered violent repression. The slightest wrong word could be fatal.
Create quickly. Design easily. Print beautifully. Discover the power of the new design and print tool from FedEx Office. Design, print, stand out.
People, mostly teachers, were labelled as rightists and deported to forced labour camps where many died of starvation. 3,000 of these dissidents were sent to the Jiagango labour camp on the edge of the Gobi Desert, a so-called re-education camp.
Oh, if only you knew. So many of us died.
Oh, come on, man.
70% of the camp's population. At the time, we slept on the bare ground, in holes we made to dig. The dead were put into big trucks and transported into the desert. They were covered with a thin layer of sand, and over time their skeletons gradually came back to the
come
surface.
on, man. Oh, I didn't do that to him the whole game. Come on,
These
bro.
are the names of this mass grave.
Stupid, man.
There is a climate of terror that reaches all the way to the top levels of leadership. Entire heads of
Don't play, yeah. You don't get to play in this game. Yeah, you gotta fix that. The trolling and the gaming.
There's
no gaming. You don't play.
Radical winds that blow from Beijing.
Not here to get trolled. I'm here to get play. I'm here to play.
All opposition was opened up the way for the great leap forward. The Communist Party was able to do what it wanted without any resistance, because no one dared speak out anymore.
Come on.
But his long-standing ally became his main rival. When Khrushchev declared that the Soviet Union would exceed that of the USA in 15 years, Mao took up the challenge. He said that China's steel production would exceed that of the United Kingdom in the same period. "100 million peasants were recruited from all over the country to work almost with their bare hands on building projects on an epic scale, constructing roads, railways, dams and canals." For Mao, there was no doubt. The great leap forward to a communist society had really begun. The slogan "Dare to think, dare to act" became the official line of the party. He went out to work sites to lend the peasants his support. To underline the fact that he had rallied the whole party behind him, he was accompanied by Liu Shaoqi, the party's second in command, and Zhu Enlai.
Yeah, I wanna play, yo. Let's fucking play. What type of game is this, bro? Shit is on fucking pause. This game started, bro.
Liu confirmed his support for Mao by saying, "Hard work for a few years, happiness for 1,000.
Short, bro. Fuck.
All means were used to mobilize the masses and to stimulate revolutionary zeal. In an extraordinary campaign, Mao identified a new enemy. Sparrows were accused of eating the crops. The Chinese were called out in their millions to prevent the birds landing. As a result, the sparrows
Man, that's passing interference, bro. You don't think that's fucking passing interference? Fucking play fucking football correct, motherfucker.
Ate part of the harvest.
Fucking asshole.
The campaign was followed by another step towards radical collectivization.
You know what he's doing, man? He pushed me, man. I can't even fucking score.
During the journey, Mao saw a banner in a field praising the merits of the first experimental people's commune set up in Henan province. He declared with enthusiasm, The People's Commune will be the bridge that will carry China towards the socialist paradise. The same was taken up in all provinces, and in just one summer, thousands of communes were formed. They consisted of up to 2,000 families. There were even plans for enormous communes, combining up to 10 or 20,000 households, which would be headed by cadres who were totally dedicated to Mao.
Come on, somebody hit him, man.
The working day started at dawn and finished after dark, accompanied by music to the glory of the Great Leap Forward. As the basic unit of the future society, the commune experimented with a completely new way of life. Here, everything was designed to immerse the individual in a collective life geared towards production. All private property was abolished. Houses, animals, land and production tools became collective property. Nurseries and free, compulsory schools liberated women from their maternal duties
what's up?
so they could work in the fields.
At that time I was very young. I was a member of the youth league and in charge of propaganda, so that shows that I believed in communism. I thought communism was fantastic. So when we were tiny, we were taught that the communist paradise would soon come, and we only had to endure a little suffering and make a few sacrifices to reach it. That was how I saw things.
The family unit disappeared, and children were made to live by the new rules of collective life. The individual was nothing more than a cog in a big machine.
Yes, man, fucking fumble? You kidding me?
I think the words were, socialism is good, something like that, but I can't really remember. Did you sing different songs when you were at home? We only sang in school. Outside, life was very hard. There was never any let-up. Why would we want to sing?
As in a barracks, men and women were separated and grouped in dormitories. Sexual relationships were regulated.
Men and women were separated and couldn't live a married life. Some couples went to the fields to continue their sex life, but when they were caught, they were publicly humiliated.
Oh!
Some women found it unbearable, and many committed suicide.
What the fuck, man?
So you pulled everything and all lived together?
That first year, the furniture was seized for firewood and everything that could be destroyed was destroyed. The pigs, the sheep, everything was collectivized. Even the pots and pans were seized because families weren't allowed to cook. No one cooked at home anymore.
The aim was to force the peasants to take their meals in the commune's collective canteens. In some of them, they even abolished money. A system of work points was established. Food was distributed according to merit, i.e., each person's capacity to fulfill the production objectives. The notion of wages disappeared.
It was compulsory to turn up every day. If your name wasn't on the attendance list, you were punished and you lost work points. They took points away from you. Yes. But without work points, you had nothing to eat. The fewer work points you earned, the less food they gave you. Oh, it's miserable. I can tell you that life was brutal for everyone at that time, except the cadres. Those people lived well.
这个伤感不了。
Come on,
The
guys.
party cadres became the officers of the People's Communes, which were transformed into real barracks.
Gotta play
Every
better,
day,
machine.
The peasants underwent military
up?
training because the masses
The
had to be
1990s,
mobilized for the
though.
national defense.
They didn't see that? Come on.
Every morning, the peasants gathered at the entrance to the village and waited for the group leader to allocate the tasks. At the end of the day, the leader shouted, "Work's over!" and the peasants went to eat. They weren't motivated and productivity was very low. That was one reason why productivity didn't increase.
当过新秀的 NG，
In the People's Communes, peasants had no right to free speech. Their skills weren't taken into consideration anymore. Everything was decided by the authorities who mostly knew nothing about the subject. They decided everything. The distance between each rice seedling, the type of seed, the amount of fertilizer to be used. Land suitable for one type of crop was used for another. As a result, the peasants became totally demotivated and poor harvests caused the first food shortages. But Mao always wanted more. To increase agricultural production, he made communes compete against each other. The ones that recorded the biggest harvests were rewarded in ceremonies organized by the party, while the inhabitants of the communes were terribly short of food. This was a way where achieving record production, called launching a satellite, went hand in hand with announcing falsified figures. The cadres were caught up in an escalating spiral.
At the provincial meeting, my superiors asked me what I thought about it all. Some places have launched plenty of satellites and declared high levels of production. What do you think? My back was against the wall and I had to say that I would respect the quotas without fail. But in reality, I couldn't keep those commitments. It was impossible.
完成任务，坚决完成任务。下去啊，那根本就没办法，这是逼的嘛。
They showed Soviet advisors a field of wheat where the ears were so extraordinarily close together that they supposedly supported the weight of 6 people. The photo was on the front page of the People's Daily. Everyone was fooled, and those who weren't were too scared to say it was a con. Lying became common at all levels of the hierarchy. The figures for agricultural and industrial production were falsified throughout the country to meet and even exceed the targets set by the party.
In the autumn of 1958, although there was some wheat, there was a shortage of food. The town of Dangshang in the region of Jiangsu boasted about good harvests and we went to take a look. It was supposed to be a fertile area. Everyone who went quickly realized that it was all nonsense. They showed us piles of crops where the cereals were on the top, but underneath was just straw and stubble. Everyone understood what they'd done, but no one dared talk about it. I saw the trick too.
As a consequence of these exaggerations, the tax paid in grain by the communes was calculated on a false basis. In some regions, the result was that the state demanded almost all the amounts really harvested. To make matters worse, the spring harvest in 1959 was disastrous.
The wheat had hardly been cut when all the